This architecture assignment is located in my current hometown of Claremont, New Hampshire. When posed the assignment, I knew the exact building that I wanted to learn more about. Claremont, New Hampshire was an old mill town, and it's fortunate enough to have a lot of really great architecture. Some amazing buildings come to mind right away, like the Moody Building and the Opera House/City Hall building that sits in Claremont still to this day. Back in high school for an Industrial Revolutions class, I did a project on City Hall/the Opera House, and it's probably one of Claremont's most iconic buildings, so it was something that I really enjoy, but I decided not to do again this time. So for this assignment, I decided to look around at some of the churches that I think have the most significant architecture that's based off of the modules that we studied in class. Personally, the most beautiful church that I've found is a church that sits on the corner of Franklin and Sullivan Street, and it's a beautiful stone church building with bright red doors. Getting footage of the outside of the church was easy enough, and I was able to lurk around the building and get some great shots to look at the architecture on the outside. It really is a sight to see. Unfortunately, right now, the church is not being used for anything. Doing a little bit of digging, I found that there was a sale in 2016 for the church. The building used to be used for the Methodist Church in Claremont, which has now since relocated to a much smaller venue. The only information I've been able to find about the sale of the church comes from an old 2016 Eagle Times newspaper article. The purchaser, a woman named Lori Hillebrand, has been impossible to contact. None of the numbers I can find actually lead to her, and unfortunately, everyone in town that knows of her has no idea how to get in touch with her. It seems like she doesn't want to be found. Unfortunately, getting inside the church is not an option at the moment. However, I did do a lot of digging around town through other resources to try to get floor plans and some other information that will help me analyze the architecture on the inside so I can compare it to the architecture on the outside. My journey to find information on this church took me all around town, and it was really interesting to learn the history of some of the other buildings in the town as well. I headed over to City Hall to see what resources I could find. After speaking to a representative at City Hall, I was unable to find actual blueprints of the building, but I did get sent to Claremont Visitor Center to look at an architectural inventory and the historical information based on the building. This resource was a great start as it gave me solid dates of when the building was erected and some other architectural information on the period, style, and a little bit of background on the Methodist Church. The representatives at the Visitor Center suggested that I head back over to City Hall and look into the assessing department for more information on this building. Upon my arrival to the Claremont offices of assessing, I was able to learn some information about the City of Claremont website and being able to look at the assessing online through Claremont GIS, a computer tracking system. With this, I wasn't able to find a floor plan, but I was able to find an overhead bird's eye view. My next stop was Claremont, New Hampshire's own Fisk-Free Public Library. This resource was very fruitful, as I was able to go through the microfiche and find first-hand information from the dates of when the building was made. I was also given an interesting pamphlet that had a lot of history of the Methodist Church, Methodism, and some of the information regarding the building itself. At this point in the day, my contact at the Methodist Church, where it currently stands, got back to me, and I was able to head over there and get some really great information. In fact, it was very similar to the information that I retrieved from the library, just on a grander scale. This information was perfect, as it had an entire section just on the Sullivan Street Church. And perhaps one of the most beneficial things I received today from my contact at the current Methodist Church are first-hand photos of the interior of their old church building. This is fantastic and will help me assess and articulate the architecture of the building right now. The church was built with stone given from a farm in East Green Mountain, and for a long time was considered the finest Methodist church in the state of New Hampshire. The building is known for its beauty and has a lot of needs for churches, including a choir room, chapel, scout room, ladies' parlor, Sunday school room, kindergarten, kitchen, social hall, recreation rooms, and it even has a 2-lane bowling alley, which was something I was very surprised to learn about. The building, erected in 1929, was a Gothic period piece. The church is very picturesque, with quality enhanced by the roughness of the stonework, and the design of all the vague lines. The church is very distinguishable with its bright red doors and beautiful stonework. The Gothic style can be seen in the pointed arches above the door, as well as some of the arches over the windows from the photos I got from my contact. This piece of architecture has flat buttresses and actually has a few similarities to Notre Dame stylistically. Although I didn't find an actual floor plan, the shapes of the plans that I did find were not cross-like like other cathedrals. While I was unable to locate it from the exterior, based on the pictures from the interior, I was able to locate a rose window. The church is built of New Hampshire fieldstone, which lends itself well to the form of architecture planned, namely the early English Gothic, with the tower coming from the same period. Its length is 77 feet by 35 feet wide. The Gothic construction utilizes buttresses, vaulting, and uses an equilibrium that's based on the thrust and counter-thrust. There's quite a bit of symbolism based on the interior of the church as well, and while I wish I had better pictures of it, I did find some great descriptions. Some of the symbolism is made of shield and oak leaves, symbolizing protection and strength. The spandrels on either side of the door have the grapevine designs, the vines representing the Savior being the true vine and his followers are the branches bearing fruit. On the left-hand side, there's another shield that symbolizes hope, and on the right side, there's a shield with a heart, which is supposed to symbolize charity. The stained glass windows in the First Methodist Episcopal Church of Claremont are designed to fit the architecture of the building with the use of diamond pattern designs for the main nave of the windows, and this design is trimmed with a delicate leaf border. The leaf border was copied from other middle century cathedral work. The border, as well as the rest of the work in here, has been hand-painted. Overall, this is a beautiful piece of architecture, and I'm very thankful to have gotten the opportunity to learn more about it and meet different people that know some information about it. Someday I would love to get in touch with Lori Hillebrand and be able to get inside and hopefully get some pictures of the interior to see some of the information firsthand. Throughout our Survey of World Architecture course, I feel very fortunate to have been able to learn about different varieties of architecture and pick out certain kinds that I like more than others. I definitely knew that this was a Gothic piece of architecture, and it was nice to be able to single out the period of it and be able to compare it to some of the other pieces that we've learned about in class.